Good morning, world. We are here Sunday morning, blessed, right? We're going to church today with
Yes.
with my esteemed guest here, Neanda. I'm Neanda Julot, for those of you that know me, founder and CEO of Wealth I Am, where we teach financial empowerment not only through storytelling techniques, but through actual stories that people have lived through and been through. Because I believe that the arts is the greatest source of education, especially on the topic of money. So let me just stop talking about myself because the star today is Melda Beaty. She is here. I'm so happy to have a discussion with her about an upcoming play that she has coming up that all of you need to see. But before we get started, I just want to share highlights of Melda's esteemed career, how she has given and shared with this world the gift of writing. That is a gift indeed. If you don't know now, you know. Um, so I'm going to share a little bit about Melda so you get to know who she is, and we're definitely going to have a conversation going about her upcoming play. So Melda Beaty is an enthusiastic. I love how she said, I am enthusiastic about what I do. A playwright, recent winner of the 2022 National Black Theater Festivals, Sylvia Sprinkle Hamlin Rolling World Premiere Award. So many awards, I can't even talk, for her play, Coconut Cake. Her first play was Front Porch Society, where it enjoyed a world premiere at the Ensemble Theater in Houston. I see a main stage production at the National Black Theater Festival in North Carolina. Then on to her second play, Coconut Cake, as well, was a semifinalist for the American Blues Theater Blue Ink Playwriting Award with readings in the National Black Theater Festival, St. Louis Black Rep, and the Ensemble Theater. In addition, her one-act stage play, 30, which we're going to talk about today, was a 2022 winner of Definitions Theater's Amplify 2 series and a finalist in the Blackboard Play Festival, as well as Wayward Sisters' third annual Workshopping Women's Voices. Her first play with music, look at her combining words with music, is The Lawsons, a civil rights love story that was a commission by the Ensemble Theater for their 2021-22 season. In 2021, she was a Confluence Fellow with St. Louis Shakespeare Festival, where she developed her most recent play, Feeble Minded. And lastly, let me catch my breath, her upcoming film, Cupcake, a film as well, just crossing genres here, chronicles the divide mental illness creates between a mother and daughter. When Beaty is not writing plays, she serves on the board of the August Wilson Society and as a contributor to the Black Masks magazine. She resides in Chicago, Illinois with her three talented daughters, is an assistant professor of English at Olive Harvey Community College, and she earned her undergrad degree from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign Stand-Up Illini and her master's at Illinois State University. Her other professional affiliations are the Dramatists Guild, New Play Exchange, Black Theater Network, and African American Playwright Group. Melda, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, Melda, I just really want to start, right? That long list said a lot, said it all, but I really want to dig into a little bit more about you. I'm inspired by Simon Sinek's book. He says, start with why, how great leaders inspire change. I know what people do. We hear the list of awards, but Melda, I want to know mother, writer, theater, all these affiliations, these gifts that you have. Why do you do what you do?
Hmm. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm listening like, who is she talking about? We read that bio. Thank you. To God be the glory. I can't say that enough. Why do I do it? It is just a passion of mine to write. I write for no reason other than a story is inside of me and I want to get it out on paper. Half of the time, I don't even have a contract with a theater to write a story. It's just a story that has inspired me, and typically is something that maybe I've heard or experienced many years ago, and it just comes up, and I'm like, and I hear the characters, and I hear something, and I think of an arc for it, or the beginnings of that, or maybe just the setting, and I'm inspired to write. And you know you're inspired, you know it's inside of you when it continues to come up. It stays with you. It could be a year later. You're like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that. I don't know. But then it comes back up in another form, another conversation or something. So I do it because I'm passionate about it. It is my gift. And I'm very grateful for it. And it's something that I just love to do. I love to do.
Yes, yes. And you're teaching others to do it too. I hear professor and mother, right? You're teaching and in the way you live to the people who are around you and inspire you. So
Right, right. And with my teaching, I don't teach playwriting. I don't teach creative writing. I teach composition. I teach research writing. So that's more academic writing. But I do find ways to infuse theater into my curriculum. We used to take, and I hope we start back before the pandemic, another professor and I and two other professors would take our students to see plays. We saw plays at Court Theater all the time, even the Goodman. And so what I would do is we would decide to design our curriculum around the theme of the play so that I could teach students composition through theater based on whatever the theme of the play was.
now I'm going off script now because you said two things that speak to me. One, kudos to you, a crown of jewels on your head. I say this because a lot of us, things speak to us and speak to our heart, and maybe it keeps gnawing at us, but sometimes we don't know what to do with it. Or sometimes it takes courage to take it out of you and put it out there. So I say that because a lot of us are bubbling with things that we haven't, maybe we're reflecting on, we're not sure in which outlet it's appropriate, if at all, to get out there.
Right.
Or there's fear or there's different emotions that come up. So I'm inspired by that, and I want to acknowledge how courageous that is, number one. Number two, the fact that you use theater, you teach composition, but the arts, I keep hearing the arts as a source of education. Why? Why is that so important? Why is that outlet an important source of educating your students or others?
Yeah, I think for me in particular, and with my students, I teach at a community college on the south kind of east side of Chicago, Roseland community. And many, not all, but many of my students, that is their bubble. They don't venture out or don't know about downtown areas or north side areas. And so I've been able to use theater as a way to expose them to the greater Chicago area. And for me, it's a little selfish, but I want to expose them to the arts because I'm so passionate about it and I love the arts. And so I think there's education there. Just in theater etiquette, there's education. I took students once to see Native Son at Court Theater a few years ago, and they were hooping and hollering because something resonated with them. But we also had to remind them that, listen, this is live theater. This isn't a movie. These actors can hear you. These actors can sense any disturbance. So express your agreement or your what do I want to say? Your like of the play, but be mindful that we're in a space that is live and that these actors need to be able to focus and things like that. So, small things like that's part of educating, right? It's part of educating them that there is this theatrical world out here, this artistic world out here, and I want to expose you to it as part of your education. But I also want to talk to you about etiquette and how to be and learn in certain spaces outside of your community and the community that you know. So that's what is done for my students in the college where I teach. And then, I also let them know that I write plays as well. And one of the other professors who used to take her students, she's an artist, she teaches art. And so it's a way for them to tap into our world outside of education as well.
You're a full multifaceted person, right? There's many, many parts of you, and you're sharing that with them. So, and getting to their comfort zone. I love that. And
yes.
So let's hone in on the play coming up this Friday. I want you to tell the audience here the name of your play, when and where it's being read, and the urgency of seeing it now. Because I think the urgent. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, so it's entitled 30, THIRTY, like the number, or the number 30. And I'm having a public reading of it at Definition Theater. Definition Theater is located now, for now, they are building a multi-million-dollar theater on the south side of Chicago in the Woodlawn area. I think they've broken ground already, so we're going to keep them lifted up in prayer about that. So for now, they are using the space at the Logan Center for the Performing Arts, housed on University of Chicago's campus. And it's at 6 o'clock on August 4th. I have an amazing cast. These are professional actors who I was able to choose. And Definition Theater is so gracious that they asked the playwright. They involve us in the casting. They involved us in the direction of the play. And so I have Tiffany Folson and Michelle Bester and Marcia Estelle. And if you have never heard of these actors, please Google them or just come and listen to them as they convey the words of the play. And so this is a part of the Amplify 2 series that I was a finalist for. There's 3 other playwrights and myself, and we are all going to have public readings this month. Mine is the first one that kicks off the series. And they're also, in addition to our readings, they're also doing the Amplify 3 series. They have a whole new cohort of playwrights that are going to debut their work this month as well. So please go to Definition Theater's website, check out the marvelous work they're doing, and they also give free classes. Most of what they do outside of a production is free. They have the money, they have the resources, I should say, to provide artistic theater for the community, free of charge.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
And I have put in the chat the link, and I'll also, when I post this, include that as well for you all to get your tickets for this free reading of this moving play, which I have read as well. So I want to make sure it starts at 6, but we do recommend getting early. Okay, limited seating. Yes, would you agree? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, limited seating. So please come early.
Awesome.
Not on time, come early so that you can ensure that you get a seat.
Let's just say it starts at 5:30. Let's say that. Okay.
5:30 sounds good to me.
And let's just talk about, before we get out, we'll talk about the urgency of seeing it now, but let's talk about the themes first. And I'm going to do a fun little exercise for you. It's actually one of the techniques, icebreakers I do in my workshops, is where we know we're full of these stories, the stories in my workshop being stories on our relationship with money, but I want to condense it to 6 words. So and 6 words, it's limiting, right? But there's creativity that bubbles. So if you could describe the play 30 in just 6 words, what would they be? The first 6 that come to mind, don't think too hard.
Relationships, secrets, soul train, music, forgiveness, compassion.
Compassion. I can't write fast enough. So I got relationship, soul train, compassion. For the last other 3?
Yes, compassion. Did I say, I meant to say, okay, let me take one back and say inheritance.
Inheritance, okay.
Inheritance.
2 more.
I think I got the bit. What else did I say? I said secrets.
Secrets, okay.
And forgiveness.
Forgiveness, good. Love it, love it, love it. And this comes from Larry Smith, has a 6-word story memoir where he's like, hey, you don't know the stories we carry. And people will see this when they see this play. Tell me, was it inspired by something that happened to you personally in your life?
Yes, it is semi-autobiographical. So the whole play really is about, when I say relationships, it really is about relationships between a grandmother and her granddaughters. The granddaughters are older now, but without giving too much away, they were given away when their mother died. And her death was gifted an inheritance for the daughters. But the grandmother is the executor of the money. And she's just, for whatever reason, and you have to find out, she's not willing to give it up. Mm-hmm. And so these granddaughters, each one of them have their own urgency for the inheritance now. And they're supposed to get it when they turn 30. she knows that. And they're 30 now. Actually, two of them are older, but the baby is turning 30. And it's like, we need it now. There's an urgency here. Uh, and we want to know why she isn't giving it up. And then they want to know why, not only why aren't you giving the money up or willing to give it to us, but why did you allow us to be separated? Why didn't you keep us together? And they come together on this one day in the play.
And now, Wealth I Am listeners, you know why I'm talking to Melda. This is, we call it a money story. There's relationships. She said inheritance, right? All of the themes and things tied to what this taboo topic about money that we don't want to talk about, how it influences our relationships with families, the emotions that come up, the why behind what we do with our money. This is full of it. And I'm excited. And this is what inspired this conversation at 9:30 Sunday morning, and which is why we'll be there at 5:30 on Friday. So you talked about urgency of the characters needing the money now. So I do want to talk about timing, right? We know you've written this play. When did you first write this play?
Oh, I think I wrote it in 2019. Probably started some little sketching on it in 2019.
And time has passed, the world, COVID, all of these things have happened, right? I always say a masterpiece is timely, no matter when it's showcased to the world, right? What makes you feel like this is urgent to see now in this moment in time?
I don't even think it's about the money and that makes it urgent. I think it's about the relationships and being in a situation where the world was distant and isolated through COVID, and how, families were apart for years because of health reasons. You didn't want to expose, we didn't know. And so same with this play, they don't know. They're only speculating, and they have their own conclusion as to why they were all separated as as sisters. But now is the time. We need this money. We're here for your birthday. It's sister, the oldest character, the grandmother, they call her sister. And was my great grandmother. They called her sister. In many Black communities, the oldest daughter was called sister. And so it's sister's birthday, and they're coming together. Finally, all three of them are coming together. They typically work and see sister separately, but they're coming together, okay? Just like we did in the pandemic. We were all separate, and then we came together. And when we all came together after the pandemic, it was jubilant, it was love, whatever the emotions were. Same in this play. When they come together, they're able to get their emotions out, they're able to release, and they're able to love again, forgive again, reconcile, and just understand what happened with each other at that time. And I think that's what happens in family dynamics, period. They ebb and flow like that.
Relationships as well. Yep. And you keep going back to that theme of relationships. Because I say it's more, yes, there was an inheritance involved, but I would say it's more than dollars and cents. It's more than money. It's what is the meaning behind it? What is it doing to us? What are we doing to each other? Right.
Right.
So that's a huge part of it. Yeah. I wanted to think the word 30 years old is a milestone birthday for many, right? So I hear the age of 30, and that's obviously the name of the play. You make me think about a quote. There's an author that talks about atomic habits, James Clear. He sends quotes to my inbox anybody who subscribes every so often. And there's one that says, whatever age you are today, your future self would love it. Because I think when I think of milestone birthdays, I think of and the themes that we're talking about today. Sometimes we feel like we should have achieved at a certain point what we should have had. Maybe there's regret, maybe there's shame tied to it. When I think of even resources you should have had, or money you should have had, what you should have accomplished, whatever it may be. So again, I read this quote as something along those lines, right? Whatever age you are today, your future self would love it. How does that resonate with you?
I just think that's very impactful, in that if we understood that, maybe we wouldn't be so hard on ourselves when we do reach certain age milestones, and maybe we haven't achieved what we think we should have achieved. I mean, I'm 52, and I feel like now in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, doors have really been opening for my theater career. Um, but as but someone else may look at that and say, "Oh, that's kind of late." You know, people have been, and some of my cohorts in this space, they've been at it much longer than me, and they've been able to achieve a certain amount of success at a younger age. But I think that quote itself says, wherever you are and at whatever point in your life, it's okay, it's good, it's acceptable. Whatever you're doing, the timing is right for it. And so I think, you know, if we can just remember that and we can hold on to that and take these disappointments and frustrations in life with stride, yeah, it's okay. It's all in order. It's all in order.
You make me think of, you brought up one of your 6 words was forgiveness. What about forgiveness of ourselves? That's what comes up for me when you say that, right? A lot of us, what we shoulda, woulda, coulda, right?
Yeah.
Acceptance, right? You know, this is your time. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, I want to be respectful of your time. I know we're at time right now. I just want you, as a last moment with us here, to share the learning lesson when someone walks away from 30 on Friday. What is that? And I know it could, depending on the person, what they're going through, it could resonate in different ways, but what would you say is maybe one of the greatest learning lessons from the play?
Everything is not what it seems, or what you make it, what your mind has told you it is. You can look at a situation and think you understand why someone is doing what they're doing. And until you have a conversation with them, until you walk in their shoes just for maybe a moment, then you might have a better understanding. That doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean it's wrong. But for the characters in this play, I think that's the lesson that they, I hope, walked away with, to understand the motivations behind what sister did, the decision she made way back when. They're looking at it from a mirror that they have today. She is looking at it and trying to explain it from her mirror way back when. And so, whatever situation you find yourself in, especially when someone else is involved, it's never really the thing. It's always something else there. And I think you have to have a conversation with that person, and a real conversation, an honest conversation with that person, to understand the why.
Yes. What a perfect ending. I think you make me think of, we're talking about generations, right? There are generational wounds that we carry down. There's
Yes.
generational joy that we carry down. But in terms of the wounds parts, a lot of those in the theme of Wealth I Am inspire our financial behaviors. We're walking around doing things with our money. We don't even know why. And a lot of it comes from the mirror maybe that we carry. I never thought of it that way. Our own version of why, right?
Right.
But just kind of having those conversations with those from our past, if we can, helps. And I say if we can, because again, a gift, there's an African proverb that says a library burns down every time an elder dies. So you are
Yes.
gathering these
Yes.
stories. So many generations after Melda, we can learn from this. So
Yes, absolutely.
thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
So yes, everybody, we'll see you Friday, 5:30.
5:30.
Any
Alrighty.
lasting thoughts before we go, Melda?
No,
Anything?
thank you. Thank you so much for just choosing 30 and having this platform where you're using art to educate others about money and wealth. And so I just thank you for highlighting my play.
Thank you so much. See you all later. Until next time, keep sharing those stories, capturing those stories, and learning from them. That's key. Take care. Until next time.